find it to be absolutely fascinating that many of the gangs, the Latino and the black gangs in the major cities across America, their graffiti that they are spraying on buildings, their graffiti are actually Masonic emblems and Masonic seals and symbols. And I have seen a whole collection that these doctors have. These are medical doctors, but they are interested in this subject. And they have been collecting hundreds of pictures of graffiti and showing the research into the ancient secret societies. And there's no way that these black and Latino gangs could know these symbols. There's definitely a connection between the gangs and some sort of a higher orchestrated mind behind the warfare going on between gangs. I don't think those gangs are by chance. I think that they have been nurtured and orchestrated and promoted and even financed. I mean, if you think about it, how those gangs have money to travel around. They can buy guns. They can roam around. They don't have to work. Where are they getting their money from?
Well, not only that, but their main occupation is the narcotics business and fomenting chaos, confusion, and fear.
Right.
And they haven't got the background of understanding, learning. To put together the kind of logistics network that it would take to supply this kind of an enterprise.
Absolutely.
So someone with an awful lot of money, an awful lot of organization, and absolute ability to provide 100% protection is supplying these city gangs. It's not the mafia.
You can bet on it. You can bet.
This is a very sophisticated, a totally protected organization.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, the San Francisco Chronicle had 2 full pages in one of their newspapers I still have, where they were talking about how this federal government was bringing in narcotics from Asia during the Vietnam War in the bodies of American servicemen that was being killed in Vietnam, and they were bringing in bags of pure heroin and pure narcotics from Asia in the bodies of American servicemen. And what were they doing with it? They were giving it directly to the mafia, because the mafia is doing a little tricks for the government. It takes care of business for the government, so they have to be paid.
Well, let's clarify one thing here. It's not the government. It is these secret societies
that are operating behind our government.
That's correct, exactly. And behind the veil of national security. Yep. And I might remind you that back in history, when Albert Pike and Giuseppe Mazzini were corresponding and were setting up the core foundation of the Illuminati within Freemasonry, both in their respective countries, and at that time, of course, Albert Pike was the Grand Commander of Freemasonry throughout the world, and Giuseppe Mazzini was his counterpart in Europe on a lower level. It was Giuseppe Mazzini who created and fostered and gave the charter to what is now known as the Mafia.
That's right. La Cosa Nostra was Mazzini.
That's correct.
Masonic order. No doubt about it.
And this explains the close cooperation between
government and the Mafia.
That is right.
Absolutely. And when we also understand that the old magic practicing priest, of the old Celtic Druid priest of ancient England, in the person of Merlin the magician, when you understand that the old priest, the magicians, worked their magic on people with their magic wands, and their magic wands were always made out of holly wood, and they're still working their magic today with Hollywood. If you understand how we are being manipulated, we're being programmed, Hollywood is nothing more than an instrument in the hands of the secret societies. And in Los Angeles, anyone who knows anything about the motion picture industry knows that the real bosses are in New York and back east. Nobody makes any decisions here in Los Angeles. Those decisions are made by some very powerful people behind the scenes in New York and upstate New York.
And we're not talking about just Hollywood. We're talking about the media overall, in general, right, including print, television, radio,
right,
the whole works.
And
specifically, what we're looking at is a very sophisticated method of manipulation and brainwashing,
exploitation.
Correct.
Absolute exploitation of people's ignorance. Somewhere along the line, and as I said to you before a few minutes ago, the greatest enemy this country will ever face, the people who are behind the scenes of government in this country, Their greatest enemy is you. You who think too much. As a matter of fact, there was a movie, there was a motion picture called, what was it, a few years back, called Network. And in the movie Network, at the end of the movie, the star was a newsman, and he said something to the effect that you don't have to worry about America being destroyed. America's not going anywhere because we feed everybody. So if we go, the whole world goes because we're feeding everybody. But there is something that is lost forever. There is something that has gone and is legitimately lost, and that is your freedom as an individual human being to be free, to do your own thinking, to be your own person. That is lost. You have been taken over and you don't even know it. And he said, and the reason why is because you don't read, you don't think, you want to be entertained by Bugs Bunny and Big Top Pee-wee. All you want is your recapable tires, like he says, and all of your creature comforts, and you don't want to put yourself out, and so consequently, karma, the law of karma, cause and effect. You have not defended your freedoms, and if you don't defend your freedoms and your rights,
then you don't have
any.
That's correct. Now, let's go back to this symbology. We're talking about on the back of the reverse seal of the United States of America.
Right.
We see at the top of this pyramid, which, by the way, does not have a capstone, we see an eye surrounded by rays,
right.
And this eye signifies, really, in the beginning, signified the sun.
Yeah, Horus. And the god of the sun.
That's correct. And we see that same symbol as the insignia for CBS.
Mm-hmm. CBS, that's right.
And we also see in the NBC peacock a tail, and each feather of the tail has an eye on it. And we also see the symbol of one of the information computer networks, America Online, is the pyramid with the, again, all-seeing eye. We see the symbol of Prodigy, which is another computer information service, which has as its symbol the pentagram. And by the way, folks, there's been a lawsuit brought against Prodigy because it has been discovered that as you sign on to the Prodigy computer bulletin board database system, built into the program that they send you so that you can sign on to this system and use it, is a method whereby they actually read the information on your personal hard drive, on your personal computer. And I don't know where that goes or what they do with it, but there has been a lawsuit that's been brought against Prodigy for they've been caught in the act, is what I'm trying to tell you. And it's in court right now. We'll let you know how that's resolved and what happens. But I will tell you, if you're signing on to some of these national computer information database systems, there's a good chance that
you're the one that's being
that is being
computerized,
probed for information, while you think that you're probing them for information. It's actually the other way around, and it's set up intentionally that way.
I had an interesting conversation with a very high-ranking rabbi in America about 3 or 4 years ago. And he had written a book, and I was very interested in it, about symbolism, or occult symbolism in America. And some of the interesting things he brought out was the movie Frankenstein. If you break the word down, Frankenstein, and it goes back to Jacob Frank. And Jacob Frank in Europe was one of the leading members of the Illuminati in Europe. And the idea was that in the old movie, Boris Karloff comes out and tells you, in the old original 1933 movie of Frankenstein, he comes out and says that this is a story about a old mad scientist at Bavarian University of Ingolstadt. And he has put together all of these nefarious pieces and created a monster. And that's what Frankenstein meant. And the rabbi was bringing out that all this story of Frankenstein is that the Bavarian professor Adam Weishaupt had put together a Frankenstein monster to frighten the world. And what he did is he used different people and put them together, the different pieces, into a monster. And so Hollywood has known these stories. Hollywood is totally aware of all of these symbolism that's behind these stories. And so I'm saying there's no way we are going to remain a free people without facing the facts that it's an educated electorate. We love to go around talking about how we have the right to elect. Boy, in America, we have the right to elect. But we don't have the right to select.